Today's video is about the rotator cuff. Most people think the rotator cuff is just one muscle, but it's actually four separate muscles. There's three in the back, the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and the teres minor, and there's one in the front called the subscapularis. Now the three muscles in the back are all external rotators, and the one in the front is an internal rotator. But that's their action. The true function of the rotator cuff is to keep the shoulder centered in the joint. The shoulder joint is considered a ball and socket joint, but the ball is much bigger than the socket. It's almost like a golf ball sitting on a tee. Now it gives you a lot of range of motion, but it makes it inherently unstable. The primary movers of the shoulder, namely the pecs and the lats, attach to the front of the shoulder, and so they cause internal rotation. And as you develop those muscles through pressing and pulling exercises, if you are not strengthening up your rotator cuff to balance those forces, it's not a question of if, but when you have shoulder issues. So let me show you some exercises so you can get some strength in the external rotators, and then I'm going to show you some functional exercises so that you engage those external rotators during the lifts. So the first two exercises, get a resistance band or a cable machine. You're going to bend your elbow to 90 degrees and make sure that the band is in line. Now glue your elbow to your side and stick your shoulder blade in your back pocket. And all you're going to do is externally rotate. All right, that's it. Very easy. Now notice from the front, it looks like this. Notice how my elbow's staying at 90 degrees? It looks like I'm making a V. So let me show you how people do it wrong. They will straighten and rotate the elbow rather than rotating through the shoulder. So a lot of elbow issues are overuse injuries due to a problem in the shoulder itself. The other thing that people will do is they will just pull their elbow behind their body, or they will overarch their back, or they'll do all three. So for the next exercise, now you're going to bring your shoulder up to 90 degrees, keep your elbow bent at 90 degrees, and get the elbow about 30 degrees in front of your shoulder. All right, people with shoulder issues and rotator cuff issues, if they bring their elbow back, their shoulder drifts forward, and that is not in line. So get the elbow in line with the shoulder blade, get the resistance band in your hand, and just rotate back. Okay, look down the line, make sure your elbow's not drifting down and make sure you're not pulling back. You're just strictly rotating backwards. Okay, about 3 sets of 10 on that. So now we're going to train you how to use the rotator cuff when you're doing pressing and overhead movements. So let me show you why this is important. If you're coming down into a bench press and you don't engage that rotator cuff, look what happens to my shoulder. My humerus is pointing that way and my shoulder blade is pointing that way. That is not aligned. You want to keep that shoulder centered in the joint. And watch what happens when I externally rotate my shoulders. It screws it into place. I go from here to there. A lot of Olympic lifters have heard that expression, break the bar. When you try to break the bar, your shoulders externally rotate and they screw into the socket and it makes them very stable. Same thing with overhead lifts. All right, if I'm overhead, and I don't externally rotate my shoulders, that bar can fall backwards all day long. All right, if I was doing a snatch or a really heavy overhead movement, it makes it really easy to dislocate that shoulder. But if I'm overhead and I try to break that bar and I screw my shoulders in, I can't go back any farther. It is nice and stable. All right, so let me show you two more exercises to strengthen those muscles in those two positions. To practice engaging the rotator cuff and strengthen it up during pressing exercises, get a loop band or a resistance band, wrap it around your hands. You're going to come up to the wall, get your forearms on the wall. Stack your core so you're not arching your back. So breathe out. Get your abs set. You're going to bring your elbows in and rotate your hands out. And then you're going to go across the wall. Make sure the hands stay outside the elbows. And keep the tension in the band the whole time. All right, do this until you get a good burn. Now, how people do it wrong is they let the elbows start drifting out, or they take all the tension off the band as they go across the wall. And the last exercise is critical for any overhead athlete or anyone doing overhead lifts, especially with heavy weight. So take that same resistance band, wrap it around your hands, this time more of a staggered stance. Set your core, get those abs on, elbows in, hands are out. Now you're going to go up the wall, making a Y. Keep pulling those elbows in while you spread your hands apart and slide back down. So the way people do this exercise wrong is they let those elbows drift outside their hands as they go overhead. And the other thing they'll do is they'll arch their back as they go up. We want to keep the core engaged as you go up over your head. Now, once this becomes pretty easy, the next progression is to lift your arms off the wall and get the posterior tilt of the shoulder blades. But again, keeping your core set and not arching your back to do it. All right, guys, practice those exercises several times a week. I guarantee your shoulders are going to feel a lot better. You're going to be a lot more bulletproof. Click like and subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you on the next one.